Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to our WandaVision spoilers review. This is episode 3, so you know what that means. We're about to break down MCU's new show. Oh boy, what am I? I have no idea. I'm the brick cutting Travis Snell, and I'm joined by the Jon Snow lookalike.
I don't want it. I'm the Bermuda Taylor Field.
There we go, and I'm joined by another Geekverse member.
Your friendly neighborhood caster, Kirklin Patzer.
There you are. And we have a special guest here from our podcast network, Ranger Alliance, and he hosts a whole bunch of other sleuth things. We do little things different here. I know on the podcast network people plug at the beginning, but Clay, I just revealed who you are. But tell the listeners who you are and where they can find you right off the bat and what you do.
I am Fanboy Clay, and you can find me on Twitter at Fanboy Clay. I host a slew of different shows. I think in total 5. Currently, one is on hiatus, but yeah, that's what I do. I podcast all the freaking time, and I don't know why I'm not tired of it.
Leads to some, good times, fun times. You meet people, you meet friends and whatnot. And if people don't remember, you were a part of the charity stream. You shaved your head and beard, and you had a lot of hair, sir, when you shaved it. Like
Yes,
I had
I
hair,
did.
but you had a ton, and you went beard, and it's
I can't even
it's
tell
going
you
good though. It's all
shaved.
growing
Like
fast.
it's all just like
It's
just,
come back quick.
Yeah, good.
That's all come back. This has not though. This will take a while. So.
Oh my goodness, Taylor! Before we get into this, where can they find us on the interwebs?
Right, ladies and gentlemen, you can find us with your internet connection. Geekverse.ca is our home base. Check us out on our social media at GeekverseCast on Twitter, and then check us out on Facebook at Geekverse. And in celebration of WandaVision, we have our Marvel Legacy fan base community poll popping off on Facebook, and right now it is. Oh gosh, Whistler,
versus-
Abraham Whistler from Blade versus Sue Storm from Fantastic Four 2005. Yeah, that's
Jessica
quite a
Alba
pairing.
version.
Jessica Alba version. She is in the lead right now as well, so that's
I don't get it.
crazy.
I really don't. Whistler's
my
a great
gosh,
because
Whistler.
Oh, I
Whistler-
understand exactly why Jessica Alba is winning.
Well, yeah, I understand why too, because you're not gonna vote for the crotchety old man, but like she's old by 6 though, so there's still a chance.
There's still a chance.
There's still a chance he could pull it off. Like I don't know. That's
I just
not a
gave
great
Whistler
version,
my
but
vote. There you go.
there you go. There you go. Head to our Facebook, vote, and see who's going to win that. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, find us everywhere where Taylor just talked about. Most importantly, go down the description down below where you can find the website. That leads to many things. It leads to our Patreon. That leads to our other shows. It leads to our YouTube where you can watch live and be in the chat. That leads to our podcast network where that's 7 days a week, 10 shows, tons of stuff popping off there, and all the other things we are doing. We got lots of retros coming up, commentary tracks, so it's going to be a good time. Clay, I'm going to give you the floor on our first little opening here. So just give your non-spoiler based thoughts of what did you think of WandaVision episode 3 this week?
Well, we saw some random people saying that this was like the best episode that was going to air before, I think it was a couple hours before it aired. I don't know if I have to agree with that just yet. Like it was good. It was funny. Still the whole sitcom thing is still holding strong, and it's not like I'm questioning it for anything. I may be questioning it a little bit, like why is it like this? But it still makes sense and it's fun, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Kirklin?
Yeah, just to compare it to the other episodes, I don't know how I feel. Like if just like where I would put it, I feel like I think I would give this one my favorite so far. There's just I love the usage of just certain like tonal shifts that they go with, and like the score usage when things kind of get different than what we're seeing. I think that's just so well done, and it really takes me into it. I also like, what era are we in now? It was hard for me to tell.
70s, right?
70s.
70s,
Yeah, okay.
mix of early 80s.
There was some sort of, maybe I was just seeing this again. I'm a little tired, so maybe my eyes are getting a little sleepy here. But like it almost seemed like they had like an interesting film like effect where it made it look like a 70s show. I don't know. Maybe again I'm seeing stuff, but it really felt like a 70s aesthetic, and I thought they did a really good job with just the shots that they chose, and I love the color tones. Look really cool, and yeah, again, like what Clay said, the comedy, it's still top notch for me. Like when they go for the classic like comedy sitcom, I think they really pull that off, and like I'm laughing at those jokes, and it's good times. So yeah.
Taylor, what you got a shit-eating grin over here the whole time Kurt was talking. What are you smiling about?
Well, he's talking about filters. I'm just thinking like, oh, they just snapped that Instagram filter on there just to give it that little like 70s tinge.
Foggy, I know how we can save 30 million. Have you heard of Snapchat? We're gonna film this whole episode on Snapchat. Next episode, they just have all the cat faces and everything that. That's like the modern day comedy episode. So, what do you think, Taylor?
Yeah, this is probably my most favorite episode so far of the three. I love, like you said, Kirkland, the tonal shifts were super just well done. The comedy I really, really liked, and the past episodes, it felt like, okay, there was like one, maybe two in an episode of like things that pulled you out from the sitcom aesthetic, make you realize like, okay, there's something else going on here. It's not just a sitcom show. And this just started that way. Again, not spoilers, but like it trickled in some more things that just kind of like pull you out and just make you like think, and it just kind of like it really it just pulls you in, I should say. Like it just like as a
it pulls you
in.
I don't want to watch this anymore.
I'm trying not to be too exposing of spoilers on this, but it's just
exposing
of spoilers. Yeah, it's I got like I started taking notes down again. Like it was just like we're just I was just keeping my eyes like open, like just trying to like look for anything in behind, and so I'm just excited.
I went back a couple times right before you guys sent me the link to this thing. I was trying to see if there was anything that I missed.
There was one moment that happened, and I like it happened so quick, and you probably know what I'm talking about. But I had to like tap my computer, like, oh shit, is my computer tweaking out? Like,
yeah, I couldn't believe Hugh Jackman showed up. It was crazy. I mean, what happened? No. You done there, Taylor?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm on the other side of I'm 50-50 as far as I think all the big moments and all the interesting and the mystery and the intrigue, that was great. And that's where I think it's the best episode. When it's the other side of the comedy, I think I found episode 1 and 2 still funnier than this one. I don't know if it's just because I like that style of comedy better back in the day, because 70s, 80s, not like even when I am like, even though it's later on in the 80s, like when Emily watches like Full House, not really for me, it's just not my cup of tea. But I also just think some of it wasn't I won't say the funniest, but I think it was. I didn't get as genuine joy as I did the first two as far as the comedy, and I think they could have shot. I almost think the cameras looked too nice at times. I think Kirkland was right; they were going for that '70s aesthetic, but the thing was like, it was HD the last ones, but it was like there was like a film grain, there was black and white. Yeah. Where this was like, I think it looked still a little too pretty for my opinion. I wish they narrowed it down, but then again, there's some big moments in this episode that. Do you really want that? So it's like, okay, they kind of shot similar style, like the angles and things like that. So I didn't dislike it, but I think for the comedy aspect and that thing, because I remember I found that so enjoyable the first two, that was a bit lower. But the big moments, yeah, this was the show came to play in this one, because like they had some moments the last few ones, but this was, you got three big key moments and things that I'm actually surprised are already happening and that I'm happy are happening. So yeah, I'm excited to talk spoilers. Do we have anything to say before we get into it? No, so I'm gonna throw to. Okay, I'm gonna expose it. I'm gonna expose all the spoilers.
Take me out of it, Travis.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna put you back in right after we take this ad break that helps Geek First and it helps support the network and everything in between, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So now this is your last chance. If you have for some reason not seen this and you're just spoilers galore right now, Taylor, you're going to pull us in. Where do you want to start with the spoilers? You said, oh, there's one thing I know you're talking about. What is the one thing?
Yeah, the one thing in my notes. So when Vision just started to just come clean and just start dishing these truths out to Wanda, and then it literally like glitched and snapped back, and I was like, oh my God, is my new computer breaking apart right now? Like, What just happened? I was like panic mode. but thankfully, no,
I
it's all part of
rewound.
it. Yeah, like
You reround? You did?
I did because I knew it was probably part of the show, but I was like, just in case. And it was so funny when I rewound and then I hit play, I got the Disney spinning wheel. So I was like, oh, maybe my thing did just fuck up. And then I watched it and it was like the skip. It reminded me of if anyone's played Arkham Asylum, they have this thing near the end of it where it's like the game glitches and it makes it seem like it crashes, but it's part of the game. But it really makes it seem like it's a game glitch. And I think that was very clever.
But
I
how
took a
buggy-
double take for it, but the only thing that didn't make me go back to double check was the fact that there was a laughing track right after.
Yeah.
So was like, okay, it was part of it. So it's still like fun to see how freaking Wanda is dealing with all of this and manipulating it. And I know that the whole idea of who's really the one manipulating it, whether it's her or whether something is happening, and we weren't really sure, but now it's starting to show that Wanda's definitely in charge here.
Yeah. I found it really interesting too because it was so different from like the other resets that she had done up to this point. Like this was literally like you guys thought it was your hardware issue. Like it was so abrupt and so quick. Whereas the other one, like it was like no, like she says it vocally and then you can see the rewind and then it kind of takes us back. This one was just such like a cut. It felt like really sharp and like it if I was out of it, like Taylor said, it brought me back in because it was just.
This adds to the thing with this show. You actually do have to sit down and watch it because you could if you're cooking and talking, you could have missed that moment, and that is a
100%.
pivotal moment of this episode. And that's what I think they've done good with this, like all the episodes so far. That you do really have to sit down and watch everything that goes down because you feel like anything could happen, and if you miss it, you might miss a piece of the puzzle.
Exactly, and I feel like just like all the details that I had missed in the first two episodes that you guys were like sending me articles or just like little things that I had missed on my first watch. I feel like going forward, I even had that watching this one. Like I was looking in the background for any little things. I didn't really see shit again. I guess I'm not the most observant.
Well, no, I kept
on.
on wanting like a clearer picture of like the paintings that were going like around the house and stuff, making sure if there was anything that I was missing. And they're all just like crops and wheat and like random shit. And I'm like, this isn't helpful at all.
Yeah, until tomorrow when you wake up and it's like the crop picture signals the return of Thanos, and you're like, oh, I feel dumb now. No, I always feel that's like better on like a second watch because the first watch I am trying to look, but then there's the plot going on, and then because I always watch it twice at least because Emily watches the next day, so that's when I kind of like try to be like, okay, I want to look, but. Taylor, I want to throw it to you because I talked both on Geek versus a little bit last week of a possibility, and then Marvel Alliance I really doubled down. You were in the camp of like, no, I don't think Wanda's like taking over this town and is like doing shit to these people, but like I think she's full on the fucking villain of this show. Like we're getting to the point now, like at that point where Monica Rambeau gets kicked out, our thumbnail, thanks Taylor, when she gets kicked out and she's laying there and then all sort of like surrounds her and everything. I paused it and I took a picture of it. When they're going out and you see like the dome, it's not just a dome. In the little right corners, you can see houses with lights on. So I think she is literally taken over city. And some people keep going like, oh, maybe it's unknowingly. I don't think it's like.
Well, I think it's a little play on what's going on, but the sign when she's flying out, it says viewpoint or whatever the city is or the town, Westview. Sorry,
Westview. Yeah.
It's Westview, and the slogan is "Home is where you make it."
Mm-hmm.
So she's literally making this her own little universe, her own little dimension.
Yeah, and I was talking about this, Chris. Like, to me, it is interesting to see, like, even for you, Taylor, who you've not read the comic books, like, how are you gonna take if like this happens in Doctor Strange that she is just like a full-on villain, and not villain like she's killing people, but like if you were in the Avengers, Taylor, and then you heard that Wanda had taken over town and started brainwashing people. What is your reaction to that? I was thinking, like,
if I'm
man,
an Avenger
I don't know if we could...
and Wanda's
well, if you're an Avenger, and then also as a viewer, because like this is the first time in the MCU we've had Civil War, we've had other things, but this would be the first time like a character could be transitioning that we know and love to a more antagonist or almost villain side. Because I think taking over town and brainwashing people is not a good thing. Doesn't matter how much she's been through.
That's a bad thing.
She's starting to take that villainous turn.
So the two different perspectives here. Okay, let's say I am an Avenger and this happens. I would be extremely disheartened. I'd be super upset because this is a huge game changer and team member of the Avengers doing this, and she's going rogue, and this happens right after Endgame, so it's tragic. Now, me as a viewer and a fan watching the show, I'm thinking, hell yeah, let's get Ghost Rider in here and take the villain out. Which, now again, there is more in this episode that leads me to believing 110% we're getting to, again, Ghost Rider. Like, there again, episode 2 dropped several little tidbits, but again, they drop more in this episode, and I will pinpoint.
See,
Agnes had a bite.
You never
Agnes
told me
had a
the
bite.
episode.
I didn't listen, or I didn't watch the last review, but I know that Taylor, you're really big into this theory. I have no fucking idea what any of you are talking about. I watched that like 3 times. I'm like, where is this Ghost Rider thing? What the hell is going on?
I'll get to that after you guys could talk about your perspectives from Travis's question.
Well, before with Taylor the Ghost Rider thing, I'm on board that I think this will lead in the Ghost Rider in the sense of it's going to lead to more stranger, crazier characters like Ghost Rider, like more supernatural stuff. I'm not so much Taylor. You said like, oh, there's all these Easter eggs. Kirklin, do you remember him pointing out a specific Ghost Rider Easter egg to us in any time of the week? Because I sure don't.
I don't.
You can pinpoint that after. But yeah, Kirklin, what do you feel about like Wanda seeming like potentially? Because I've pitched this as maybe the red herring is when they keep saying who's doing this to Wanda. They think because she's an Avenger, someone has to be doing it to her. But maybe it's just she's doing it herself.
I mean, last week we were discussing the possibility of Agnes, being what was her name, Agatha.
Agatha Harkness.
Yeah, like I think I'm kind of leaning into that. I think it fits. It makes the most sense. Especially, it's an interesting take them putting just the persona of a villain on Wanda like this early into the show, because it could be like someone is setting her up that way. But then again, it could be her actually becoming the villain, which is something very unique from what we've seen we've seen Hawkeye take over, right, and like being the villain for a little bit. We've seen Wanda and PA. I honestly forgot his name until this episode. So that's how forgettable that freaking character
Did you
is
say
for
it's
me.
Elvis?
No,
What was that word?
Pietro.
No, I know, but you said like some weird word in between there, Kirkland.
I don't know. Maybe my Latin's coming out of me. I'm getting sleepy. I don't know what I said. Summoning demons here.
No, but to answer your question, Travis, like if I was an Avenger and like we know that Scarlet Witch is like manipulating people and like creating its own, like have you ever seen Of Mice and Men? Like
oh god, you go on a linear. No.
It's like that's basically it. Like we know that they probably still think, yeah, anybody can definitely become a good guy. But if Tony was still alive, we all know that Tony would be like, yeah, I still don't trust her. I totally don't trust her. And I'm sure people are still thinking that. Like, hey, she was a bad guy at one time, so it couldn't, be out of the realm of, reality that she could be bad again, So that's probably what people are thinking. And that's probably why Sword is there.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because in this episode, I think they really established, and I think they're really setting in the seeds for not Ghost Rider, but the multiverse as far as first of all, we'll talk about the kids, but like the pregnancy, I was happy we're literally got the kids now. Like I thought we might get a full episode. We might not get that to next week, but we have them. But throughout that, as the babies are growing and they're doing stuff at the room, and there's one point where she looks at those butterflies and she's just thinking, and they start to move, and Vision's like, look at that. And she's like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. It shows that this is the thing that I think that she is being selfish at making these moves. I think the creation of the multiverse, the Tobys, the stuff like that, that is maybe unintentional, because you could see while she's giving labor, all this stuff, she couldn't control what was going on around here. Things were just spinning, and same thing with those flies. She didn't even mean to make the butterflies come alive. They just did because like she maybe just thought of it, or she was just thinking of something. So it shows, one, how powerful she's getting, but two, how danger this experience was. And we've talked about this for years. When I think these kids are going to get lost, I think that's going to be, like many people theorize, her kind of snap. And now we're starting to establish that when there's sense of stress or a big traumatic events or just big events in general happening in her life, now she can't control it. And it's going to be interesting at the end of the series. And obviously I think that we've talked about before, lead to Doctor Strange and Spider-Man 3. But I like that they're setting those stones to say, okay, she doesn't even know how powerful she is anymore, Yeah,
she's really getting engulfed into this fantasy world that she's just control, or it seems to be controlling.
And yeah, and that's I think it's interesting to see because I've talked about this before. I thought, oh, we're gonna get that moment where Vision sits down, tries to talk to her, and I can't wait to see her reaction. We got that, but then she just skipped over the conversation and erased it. So it's just like a Vision's still putting stuff together, and I still think he is somewhat. So again, we talked about this too last week. Where are you guys again now on Vision? Because I still feel like Vision is somewhat still alive, or this new Vision. Because like if people are getting pushed out, this isn't officially in a portal like we saw in the trailers, but now it's confirmed. I think this is some copy or Vision that is alive. That maybe his save data is only to a certain point, so he doesn't even know the snap happened. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because last week I was commenting on how it seemed like every moment that would get really weird, it would be like just Wanda and then people around her. This was the first time where like Vision was. It seemed like he was like, what was that guy? Herb, just like sawing down the guy's cement wall.
That was creepy.
That was pretty creepy. Yeah, and he's just like locking eyes with them. Like
this is the first time also that we've seen that the civilians of this town are outright like questioning and kind of like wanting to get out. Like. Yeah. And it goes also to the theory that, of course, we all knew that Wanda was controlling everybody, and she was always in the vicinity of somebody when, you know, they were kind of like getting out of it, and then she touched them, and they're like, okay, you know, everything was back to normal. Here we know that Wanda was out of her mind because of the pain of the childbirth, and that is probably what let go of the connection to all of the people in the town, and that's probably why they were like,
that's a good point. Yeah,
hey, you know, we need to get out of here. They really wanted to talk to, you know, Vision about it, but I still think that Catherine
Hahn, Agnes there.
Yeah, I think she's Mephisto. Like I said that in Marvel Alliance chat, and I think she is Mephisto, who might be playing as Agatha Harkness. Like, so it might just be like kind of how freaking the Mandarin was in Iron Man 3. You know, it's just a throwaway name, but she may in fact be Mephisto, who is kind of like manipulating people and the scenario to finally break Wanda.
Well, that's interesting. I was gonna, because there's 2 points I want to talk about there, but the only point where I'm on the bandwagon of I think that there could be other people like Agnes and Mephisto involved, but I still think Wanda's the main proprietor of the situation. Why do you think she couldn't get rid of that bird with her magic? That's the thing I kept trying to think of. Like, it was that thing planted there because.
I think it was mainly just because she was like so like stressed out with the childbirth.
It could be. I was just wondering if just the fact that it came alive, she was not in the room, and like Mephisto, Red Devil, and I know Scarlet Witch is red, stuff like that, but people talk about like why is red a theme? And if Mephisto is a character, he's Marvel's devil, and if he is coming in, red being the theme would make sense. The fact that every time she tried to poof that bird away, he would turn to a smoke of red cloud. To me, I thought the same thing as Clay is like, okay, maybe it is that she's, all over the map right now, the stress, childbirth, yes. Or is it that Mephisto he's working his way in, or she, whoever it is, and that's why it's like she still couldn't get rid of this thing? Taylor, did you have any theories on why she couldn't get rid of the bird?
Not as in-depth as you guys. I just took it as it just was a clear sign that the babies were coming. Because it obviously... what is it? It's a stork? It didn't look like a stork, though. It looked like something else. But I mean, it's delivering the babies.
Yeah.
Okay. I've never seen a stork in real life, so I can't comment.
Oh, you can come over once. I'll show you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just took it as that it just was a clear sign, clear cut that the babies were coming, and there was no avoiding it, no stopping it, and yeah.
And I like
the symbolism. That makes sense. Like the babies are coming in. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I liked it was like the classic hijinks of trying to distract someone, and there was stuff going on. So I liked it. And you guys could be right. And I think that's the fun thing with this show, that I could be reading this theory that's completely not there. But with this show, you look at all like 3 different angles, and you're like, okay, what's going on? But I wanted to double back to Vision, because we talked about the thing with Herb. He also had the thing with the doctor, when the doctor's like, oh, small towns are tough to escape. And then he just walks away, and Vision's like, yeah. And then we got that last scene, and like Clay was talking about, like, Kirklin, what did you take as far as the visitors there breaking, and he's talking with Catherine Hahn, and it seemed like they're almost gonna tell Vision like what was really going on, and then they broke
Yeah.
and walked away from it. But it was like on this near, and now it's like so with Herb, with Catherine Hahn and Herb, like with Agnes, and now with the Doctor. He's had 3 clear, and imagine it's gonna be interesting next episode. She must have just wiped his mind again because he's like, where did Gwendolyn go? Where'd she go? And Wanda looking all evil in hell, just like, oh, she had to go home. She's looking scary. So like he's had 3 or 4 instances now where he knows something's up. What did you take all that?
Well, yeah, it's interesting because, like, if we want to think of Vision as being someone that's, like, it's weird to say, but like, could he be possibly trapped in there too? Because I don't know, like the NPCs, I'll call them Agatha and Herb, like, it almost seemed like for a second they thought that they could like confide in Vision and like kind of let him in on what they're thinking on how they can escape from Wanda and stuff. I don't know. I'm really curious to see as to his like how he got in this situation, because I don't know. I would want to think that Wanda like would be wanting him to be like her sidekick in this situation, because like that's her significant other, right? That's her true love and all these things. But I feel like I can't answer that strongly because I don't really know. I'm very confused. But
let me ask you this: like, if Vision supposedly knew the truth and the reality of everything that was going on, do you feel like he would still side with Wanda, or do you think he would go
I
against?
think no.
Oh no,
I
I think he has become somebody who morally, like through everything that happened with Ultron, like the last conversation that he had with Ultron shows who he is as a character and as a person. So I think that if he found out that Wanda was keeping this town captive, like he would fight against her.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm starting to get the feeling that that's kind of where the show is going to go. It'll be a big like break off, because Vision will be like, Wanda, you can't do this. Like, this is happy for us, we have
Break
our
up
family and
of
everything.
the century.
And then that'll literally tear the universe apart. Yeah, that'll be the worst breakup in history.
Well, wasn't there
break up in the multiverse?
Wasn't there a trailer like where Vision ends up flying up into the sky to like see all of the town?
Yeah, he does,
Maybe and it was at nighttime.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, it can't be nighttime in that town, but like maybe he gets out and he sees what she has done.
Well,
But
that's what I was gonna bring up, because in that at the end with the end credit scenes in the bubble, or not the end credit scene, but when you look at the bubble, you can see multiple houses with lights on, and it was nighttime, and it looked almost that similar color palette. So I could believe that he finds a way to sneak out, and he just sees, and then Sword just like shoots him down.
Well,
Yeah.
like, my thing is you asked like, what if this is a Vision that has like a certain like reboot to him, but another theory, just because it can possibly connect to the multiverse of madness, what if this is a Vision from a different universe?
Oh, that's fucked up, Wanda. If she just pulled him out of like some other.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what if that stone is actually a real stone?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing we still don't know about, because in the trailer there's that shot of her creating a stone, and we don't know what that is. And it's funny because when you said that, at first my initial kick was, no, I don't think she knows that about the multiverse yet, but maybe she does, because like that's the, like
because that's how she is able to create her own universe.
Yeah, and that's where it's tough though, like, because I want to know, is that just for Vision and us, the viewers, her being like, I don't know what's going on. So that's how I read it. I was like, okay, she's gonna get more powerful and powerful, but there is a chance that she's already dabbled in some multiverse
because we don't know
stuff.
how long it has been since the end of Endgame.
Didn't they say it was right after?
I don't think so. Well, like in press or in the show. In the show, I don't think so. And
In
then in press, I don't
press.
know. In the press, I don't think they said like an official time date on or anything like that. I could be wrong, because Kevin Feige's just giving interviews out of the fucking yin yang nowadays. So like the amount of quotes he's dropping. But yeah, let's talk about the babies, Tommy and Billy. Big shout out to the whole time, which they become Speed and Wicked in the comics, but they're giving these names, so that's a big shout out to the comic book fans. But yeah, I liked both. I liked the moments as far as comedy, but I liked when she had the baby and then he turned himself back in actual Vision. I liked the actual like silent moment they had with each other, and it was like a nice moment, and that just made me feel like, man, this is gonna hurt when they these kids away, because it's gonna get like they're gonna make us feel that pain for Wanda. So what do you guys think about? Were you surprised that we got the babies already now that we have Billy and Tommy now born?
Yeah,
Well, go ahead, Kirkland. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I was surprised that we got them right away. I didn't know. Again, I'm not too well versed in like the comic book version of them or anything like
Mhm.
that, so I didn't know it was two boys or anything like that. Also, like as we're talking about, I just kind of pulled up the little Marvel wiki here though. It seemed like Mephisto actually has like a significant role in the introduction of those two characters.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
That's why
So-
everyone's been trying to guess, like, is that who Evan Peters is playing? Because he's rumored for it, and so
Right.
that's why people have kind of guessed that Mephisto could have something to do, because he's like has DNA in them. He's taking them away. He's just like kind of a fucked up character overall.
Right.
He likes to mess around with people.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't really have anything. Go ahead.
Well, I was kind of trying to think that like back at the trailers to see if I could remember if we saw Wanda being pregnant in a different era, and I couldn't remember anything.
Mhm.
And so I was surprised that we got the babies that quickly. And of course, you get the joke from Vision. It's like, hey, how is this possible that it happened in 12 weeks? And like, hypothetically speaking, is that safe? Is that okay? And so I love the comedy part of it. It was great.
Mhm.
Like the whole like water breaking, I thought was disgusting. Like with it just raining all over them. I don't know why. I just thought, oh, that's gross. But it was fun, and I did enjoy the moment where she said, "Oh, don't you want to see, your baby, or don't you want to greet your
Tommy.
baby as your
Yeah.
real self?" And he changed to Vision. It was all really really nice. I really enjoyed that moment, and it made the next part so much funnier. They got really really close. They were being really sweet, and then all of a sudden she just screamed, and you're like, "Oh crap! Here comes the other one." So I enjoyed it. It is going to be very painful because even at the point where, like when she said, "Oh, I used to be a twin,"
That
Yeah.
was so good.
that I was like, "Oh snap! Like something is gonna break here," and I was surprised. I think that's also like that moment where we were talking about how everybody outside like immediately were like, "Oh, we gotta go." Okay, at that point, I think that was the moment where she kicked
Monica out. Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, I'm glad the kids are here. It means that I think some more fucked up shit is gonna happen.
Well, I'm glad you brought up that moment, because that I think has been my favorite moment of the show so far, when she says, "Oh, I was a twin," and man, because like it's just like double meanings as far as like, one, as the viewers, we know she's talking about the real world. We know what happened to her twin brother. We know that was traumatic, but then two, it's just like how like Elizabeth Olsen delivered that line and the look on her face, and then I love that that's Monica, like. Because this answered the question for us too last week. We were like, with the hand touch, did want to put on her spell or not? And now I lean more to that. No, she's been undercover this whole time, just playing along, because she was like, she tried like, oh, and he got murdered by Ultron, right? And then just like a horror movie, that scary turn Wanda
Oh, yeah.
makes, and then she's like, oh no, girl, it's fine, and like, oh, I'm gonna get out of here, and like that's how now I know. Okay, I think she was playing along this whole time. And that scene was just like, the tension of that scene was great, and just like, and then when the lyrics, because I have subtitles on, I was like, she's singing Sokovian. It's like, oh man, this is like, again,
Yeah.
she clearly has some trauma that she's not dealt with, and now she's just dealing with it here, and that was my highlight of the series so far.
Again.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
Taylor, go
Kirkland.
Oh, Taylor, you were louder than me. So I'll tell you.
That was a moment where Monica Rambeau was again trying to sympathize and connect with Wanda, of
Yeah.
course. So like, she wasn't trying to be an ass, like, oh yeah, your brother got killed by
No.
Ultron, right? No, she was just trying to obviously pull her out from, just another attempt to pull her out of this crazy wacky multiverse dimension she's created, which I
And
like.
it makes some sort of connection too to
Yeah,
her, like
exactly.
to hopefully get her to talk and see what's going on. But then the second Wanda gets any sniff that this is a person that knows about the real world, it's out. Which that sucks, because maybe that takes out the chance. I was always hoping there was gonna be an episode where Vision's like asshole dad came to visit, and it was Ultron, like, and he was all like comedy shtick and everything
I'd
like
love
that.
to see
I don't. I would have loved to see that. I don't
That
think
would
so
be
now. 'Cause
terrifying.
yeah, I don't think so unless that's a really wacky episode. But like I thought that was gonna be great if we could get to that. Even if it was James Spader, I think that'd be lots of
Oh,
fun,
yeah.
and
Robert
I could give her
California.
more trauma. But anyways, Kirkland, you were gonna say something.
Oh dear, what were we even going on?
We were talking about Wanda and Monica's conversation.
Oh, okay,
about,
yes,
yeah.
thank you. I was a twin once, yeah. Just so tonal shift there. There was like a buildup of just a really ominous like key that played. I'm not really too well versed in music or anything, so I can't
Please
say
tell
what
us.
specifically it was. Yeah, but it just like having that in the background. It's happened a couple times, like at dinner, pretty much every time that it's like, this isn't a comedy anymore. This is a serious like twisty ass movie or sorry TV series. Like I just absolutely love that. I feel like that just cuts down to like my nerves where like I get goosebumps and I'm expecting something ominous to happen. Another thing that I noticed, I can't remember if it was that moment or when like the bird was walking around and stuff, but like the laugh track actually disappeared. I think it was Geraldine. She made like a couple, I don't know, like maybe lighthearted comments just to try and like save the situation when Wanda was getting a little bit suspicious. But like earlier in the episode when it was just like the comedy, they would just be saying things and we'd be getting the laugh track. But this one, it seemed like she was trying to do a comedy beat, but there was no laugh track. It was like all serious, and it just
Party's over.
No, exactly. That's exactly what I was feeling. Like it felt all like all like plot progression.
Well,
in
it
a
was,
sense.
and it was interesting too. Like, and it was eye trippy weird because when he asked where Monica was, the screen dimensions changed, but then they then they changed back to being widescreen. So they changed like the MCU format, but then they changed to show like another era starting, and it's just so funny like how quickly she's working. So already I imagine next episode, Vision will be again like his mind will be gone, but it's just like. It's because we've kind of mapped this out last week. We were talking about, and Taylor, yes, was right. The actress that plays Monica Rambeau says that it takes place right after Endgame. So we got to take her at her word. So hopefully she's not lying, you know. But we've talked about this, how like we think the last three will be these big episodes. And so if we have like this next episode, which we've seen before is going to be even more Full House, because we've seen that shot in the trailer where it's the two babies in the crib and they like shoot up their soothers and they like jump back. So it's going to be like 80s. And then I'm not sure if what the Halloween episode is, but then we have that Halloween episode. But then after that, the rest of the stuff we've seen looks like it's going to be more the modern day stuff. We've seen them flying around, like Clay was talking about. We see this one shot where Scarlet Witch is like flying, and it looks like the bubbles. So I still think too, one of these episodes, like Kirk, when you were saying like, oh, I want to know what happened to Vision. I think one episode could be literally dedicated to Vision, like from Wakanda to here and how he got here. And I think that'd be good because. Like I said, is there a part of the story where maybe she just stole his body or something like that? Like maybe they were like, hey, we can't fix him fully, so we just got to reboot him, and she just wanted to take whatever point she had left. Like Clay said, it could be the multiverse, but if it's not the multiverse, then, like I said, did she obtain this body illegally? I don't know. Like, it's going to be interesting to see what happens the next few weeks now.
No, absolutely.
Any other notes you have? Take a look, but I think I said most of mine here.
Just to kind of tidbit more on the Mephisto stuff. So, again, in episode 2, we had 2 mentions of the devil, and you even had Agatha even talk about, like, I think Dottie was talking about, like, devil or something like that, and Agatha was like, oh, that's not the only place the devil is, or something like that. And then I think it was mentioned again in that episode, and then in this episode it was mentioned twice, where the Doctor was going on vacation to the Bermuda's Triangle, you know, Devil's Triangle. So obviously, and this is why I say, wherever the devil is and Mephisto's popping off, you know, he's made a deal with the writer somewhere, and he's just...
Okay.
It's only a matter of time.
I don't think the writer... The writer will, I think, get from a different deal, and also her bunny. It was called like Old Scratch, and that's a saying for the devil from last week's episode. So
Old
like
Scratch
some people, like
is a reference to the devil.
Yes, and that's what the bunny's name was.
Is that a real life reference, or is that a Marvel reference?
No, look it up. That's a real life reference. Shout out to Brent from Marvel Squadcast. He sent that to me and Chris the other day, and there was I swear to you, there was also another devil reference last week as well too. So that's where I have said though to Chris, where I wonder if the Agatha and the devil stuff is just the red herring. I still think there's a chance that they're doing this to make us think that Mephisto's coming. There's a greater evil, and like I said, they could just be Wanda, but if it is, they are laying on
Plot
thick.
twist: Wanda is Mephisto.
Oh
That'd be the
man,
biggest twist of all.
If she becomes Mephisto,
that'd be.
Jesus.
Oh, I think some people are gonna be mad by that if
Right.
they're mad about Mandarin.
Travis, just to push back what you're saying there.
Push back? No, you can't do
yeah.
that on the podcast.
Well,
You
I
can't.
will.
I'm gonna
Since you-
edit. I'm
since
gonna
you got your
Wanda us. I'm gonna Wanda us and take us back.
Like you saying the possibility of all these Mephisto devil references, because they haven't even said Mephisto. It's just been
No,
all
of
these
course
like
not.
really like hidden devil references and all these things, and you're saying like that could possibly be a red herring. I feel like that's just not clear enough though. Like if for me, if I wasn't discussed with you guys, I would have absolutely no idea that they're hinting to a devil-like character, let alone Mephisto, because I'm just not too well versed with that
But
character.
The thing is, they know this was going to be a weekly show, and I think they still know there's a chance that you would have articles, tweets, people talking about like fans of the adventure here, like, is this the devil, stuff like that. And even then, I think it could just be like the twins' names, Billy and Tommy. They didn't have to be that. They could have just changed it, whatever. But for us saying the whole episode, we know, oh, these are the twins. So even if you don't know, I think it's like for the hardcore fanboys, like trying to steer them off. But you're probably right. They're probably not thinking that far. Like if you were to ask me, do I think Mephisto is going to be influenced or in the show at some point? I would say yes, just because we've talked about the hints. Mephisto has a history with all these characters, so it makes sense. But like I said, we have, like Clay pointed out, we have seen the past where they say, we're doing one thing. It's the same way we always talk about Endgame, where they tried to make it seem like Thanos was going to be the main villain. He was, but like they didn't reveal that he got killed off in the first 5 minutes, and they had to get a different Thanos, right? So I feel like lately they like having fun with the villains a little bit of like showing you something and making us think something. Like all the Endgame trailers, like Thanos is in this, but he wasn't for a while, and that's why I still wonder, like, trailers haven't really shown us this. It's just that they're hitting the devil thing so hard now. They're hitting it very hard.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's definitely caught my attention after we've been talking about it. So I'll be looking out for more stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Taylor, did you have something to add? Because you're smiling and whatnot and everything.
No, I'm just
small
smiling.
smirk.
I'm just thinking. I'm just so pumped because deals are being made, and oh yeah.
You can hear just a Harley engine in his head right now.
Yeah. No more
And,
laugh
like,
tracks. It's just the Harley engine.
And I think technically Ghost Rider makes a deal with someone. Like, I guess Mephisto kind of could work out, but he still makes a deal with like a different type of character before, like, you know, the like, because is Mephisto, is there the devil and then there is Mephisto, or is Mephisto still technically kind of the devil? Because that's what we're talking about. Ghost Rider making
you have to remember there's like so many characters that are in hell. I mean, because there's also Blackheart. There's
Yes,
Mephisto. There's Jesus. I know that there's
Jesus down there?
Oh no.
Oh no, indeed. Marvel,
Oh,
what are you
man.
doing?
No, there is one other big character. I know that they kind of played around with him in the old. I say old, but in Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider movie, but I can't remember his name.
Me too. That's what we're talking about. What is his name, Taylor? You'll know it.
Is it
'Cause, yeah, he was like
Mephistopheles?
Yeah, he's like the devil equivalent of that. But is that just like because it's a like we didn't have the rights to Mephisto
Or
sort of deal? So
Mephistopheles is a demon. He's a demon.
oh,
Is that
perfect.
not just Mephisto?
Spirit of the devil.
Yeah,
So
it says,
see,
wouldn't
he
it
says
just
right
be?
here,
Wouldn't it
Mephisto.
just
He's not
be?
the
a
devil.
shortened form Mephistopheles.
It would just be Wouldn't it just be like another name? Because the devil obviously is Old Scratchy and all these other names. So
You don't say that like you just knew it the whole time. You just learned that. But no, see, he was still the spirit of the devil. He wasn't the devil. So, like I
Well,
said,
well, it's
you
the
will
same
get your Ghost
thing.
Rider. I'm not saying expect in Doctor Strange or expect an end credit scene of like they're
Oh,
having their
I'm not-
Halloween party
no,
and you
it's
just
not
see a
gonna
bike
happen.
pull up and just like I'm here
we
for
won't
Wanda.
we won't see Ghost Rider until after Blade. That's just I think
Really?
I don't know.
I'll take you up on that. I'll still say before. I'll take you up on that one. $1 Canadian.
I think for
What
sure.
is that in American?
Multiverse of Madness.
Less.
2 cents.
Yeah.
Well, see, I don't know if Multiverse of I don't. It's this is so tough. I really don't know. It's just
There's
tough.
no
It-
way he's gonna get his own standalone or anything like that. It's for sure
No.
gonna be paired in some shape or form. And I would think Multiverse of Madness, to me, that's the perfect horror and just scenario to just incorporate
Moon
all these
Knight.
characters. Or Moon Knight. I got the comic. Let's do it.
Dude,
I think
yeah.
Multiverse of Madness is going to be playing too far or too close to the coat hairs of Spider-Man 3. So I think they already have their slate completely ready for it, whether it be, just the additional stuff with the MCU characters, such as hopefully Chris Evans, Human Torch, and, all those other, possible Fox
But
properties.
if you're getting a Chris Evans Human Torch, unfortunately, that doesn't write out a quick little cameo from Nick Cage as Johnny Blaze somewhere, right?
Oh,
Like, if they wanted
baby.
just to go past the universe, I don't want a Clay, but I'm just saying it doesn't rule it out.
Yeah,
They're starting
I
to get
mean,
like that.
That's true. That's true.
It's a scary time what Wanda's doing. But yeah, any last thoughts on this episode? Anything? Oh, the last thing I'll show is the commercial. We got two things. We got they're really hitting the Hydra thing, which is very interesting. I thought last week made sense because they're talking about Strucker, but they talked about it was called Hydra. What was
Hydra
it?
Soap.
Shine? No, it had a different name.
Was
Hydra
it?
Soak.
Soak, right?
It was
Yeah.
Soak. Yeah. And then also during the commercial, they're like, get clean and you'll feel like you're floating. And I think they're trying to insinuate like when Sokovia was floating because they showed like the outside and when Ultron picked it up and brought it down. So I think that's what they were trying to insinuate. They were talking about like when you get clean, you'll be floating on air. And I was like, well,
It's a little
okay,
sadistic.
so like again,
Could
so she's
could this
reliving
also
her past.
be like with all of the Hydra related commercials? Could this also be some sort of red herring for when she does become evil? Because that's so like such a thing that's stuck in her head.
Mm-hmm. Could be.
So one last
interesting.
question then. Do you guys think Hydra is still kicking full swing? Because I feel like they really got hit pretty hard in like Winter Soldier when they were exposed and all other fun stuff.
Well, I think story-wise they should be done, but as the saying goes, cut one head and two shall take its place, right? And the only way that I think the story's not done, and I'd want more, is we do have Falcon Winter Soldier coming up, and that has obviously big ties to Hydra, right? And I am always still wondering, once he was let go of the Soul Stone, he didn't have to watch anymore, where is my man Red Skull, and what is he doing?
He's floating
that
back
is
to
Retired,
Earth.
man. Oh, he's
That-
retired. worked
He's
hard
just
in his life.
sitting down in some home playing bingo with a bunch of I won again. No, but like that's the only way I'd really want Hydra back if it was Red Skull coming back full force and he had like kind of like obviously it's a terrible movie too, but Rise of Skywalker, how Palpatine secretly had like all these Empire people hid away. I'd love if Hydra came back full force and with Red Skull. That's the only way. If not Red Skull, I think Hydra's kind of played out, and I hope it's just kind of cameos and whatnot. We can move on to other bad guy organizations like AIM or something like that, in my opinion.
I'd
Is
like
there no other
AIM would be good.
players in Hydra other than Red Skull?
Who's the? I always think of her. Shield played with her a whole lot. I just remember her color scheme green, Queen something or I can't remember her name.
I can't remember her name, and then also there was, don't forget, Viper. She was in the Wolverine, the Japanese version, but she is a part of Hydra, and they have the rights to that character. Kirklin, you remember that great character Viper in the Wolverine?
Fuck. No.
And we retroed that a couple of years ago. But yeah, there's her. There's someone else. Obviously, Strucker's gone. There is. I feel like there's another young Strucker, and I feel like there's one other female. So there's a couple, but no one I think is notable as Red Skull. That would be like the big one, unless they find a way for Baron Zemo to take it over because he is coming back, right, in Falcon Winter Soldier. But I don't think that's. I think his design is he's gonna end up in the Thunderbolt. So.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, again, it could be explained nicely, and I'll totally accept it. But it's just a little far-fetched for me to think that Red Skull could make a return. Again, that's just my own personal theory. So,
like in this show or in the MCU overall?
just in the MCU, like I feel like he's pretty far.
Well, that's what we thought
Yeah.
the
How he
first
would've
time,
gone.
right?
That's
Well, I
what
guess
was gonna say. That's what we thought, and then he popped up.
The person I was thinking of was Madam Hydra, but that is Viper. So
There you
Oh.
go. What a name, Madam Hydra. Fuck.
I don't
Who are you? I'm Madam. I'm Madam
or
Hydra.
Mrs. Hydra.
Yeah. Like, I don't think it's a. I think Kirkland, we could see him one more time. Maybe that's just me hoping. I just want to see him because like he has to get off that planet somehow, right? He can't just be sitting there. When Thanos
he
and
can't
Hawkeye
be.
woke up, he wasn't there anymore, so he is gone somewhere.
hey, Steve had to return the Soul Stone. right? He had to
Yeah.
return the Soul Stone. He had to confront Red Skull. He had
Well,
to.
not necessarily, because if you take the stone and Red Skull disappears, so then when Steve went back to whatever the planet was called,
Vormir.
Yeah, so
Vormir.
he obviously may not have been there.
What a shitty deal. He brings it back and Skull gets sucked right back. He's like, I was gone. I was living a
free.
life. I
He's
was having
visiting
kids.
his grandkids.
He went to
Yeah,
Peggy.
I was having kids too, Steve. You fucked it all up for me again. All right, it's getting late. We're going off some wild.
Oh, it's getting
here.
late for bringing that up.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, Clay, thank you very much for joining us and tagging along. It was
Yes,
fun to
Clay.
get some different perspectives in here and everything. So, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for letting me join. Oh, and also, Kirklin, I am 1,515 weeks old
Look at
in
that.
3
Damn.
days.
There you go.
I'm 1,303, so you're definitely my elder.
So there you go. For ladies and gentlemen, for before the fact, we were talking about, oh, Clay was going to come. And was like, oh, yeah, for sure. He just has to tell me his age in weeks, and he pulled it off. So there you go.
There was
Kirkland-
another story. I'm not that weird of just asking that of people. There's an inside.
That's how he met his
situation.
girlfriend. He's like, I won't date you unless you tell me how old you are in weeks. And that's why he was single for a long
She said
time.
it days, actually. It very
and-
much surprised me.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed this episode. Episode 3 WandaVision review. We'll be back next week to talk about episode 4. And who knows what, like, this is the great thing now because now reviewers haven't seen that episode. So there could be some wild stuff happening. And I already think the last 10 minutes of this episode was wild. So if we're going to get that again, I cannot wait. So thank you very much for everyone that tuned in. And we promise you when we're back, it'll not be boring.
Bye-bye.